Curt Schilling, welcome to Match Play with Ray Adams today.
It's good to see you.
Curt Schilling on the set. Great to see you again.
Been way too long.
My gosh, it's been years and years. And Curt was so great last night. Thanks so much at Scott Baio's birthday party. And here we are at Woodland Hills Country Club for the Bailey Baio Angel Foundation Golf Tournament.
Looks like it might rain, too.
Yeah, look at this. I can't find a cloud anywhere. Nothing at all. It's absolute heavenly perfect up here. And at Woodland Hills Country Club, we thank you so much for being here. Tell me, let's begin with the end in mind. What brings you with Scott and Renee Baio to Woodland Hills Country Club?
The cause. One of the things I think that I tell people that I look back on my career, the things that baseball gave me, and baseball gave me far more than it ever took. I'll never be able to pay the game back for what it's done for me. Is this opportunities like this?
So
willing, and I showed up.
So they have WAR in baseball, WAR. They have it in charity events as well. So the event is better with you here.
Again, that's what baseball has afforded me.
And like the team was better with you on it,
I'd
as
like
opposed
to think so,
nothing.
yeah.
Well, isn't that what Jaws and War means?
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's get back. So this glutaric acidemia 1 is a horrific metabolic disorder that they thought affected their daughter.
Yep.
They got the false positive good news result. They decided to put on the celebrity event. You're here today in the 5th year of doing it, and thanks for being here, Curt. Let's go back and start. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I lived there, and my son was born in Pittsburgh. I affectionately called it, because the people were so nice, so Midwest, so down to earth, I called it Pittsburgh.
Yeah, my dad.
Mayberry.
Yeah, my dad was born and raised in Somerset, and he came from a coal mining family.
Yep.
And so I grew up in the 70s as a fan of the two greatest teams ever, the Pirates and the Steelers.
Yep. How did you get from there to Shadow
Army.
Mountain High
My dad
School?
was Army.
So your dad got transferred.
I was born in Alaska at Elmendorf Air Force Base. When we moved to Arizona, my dad was stationed at Luke, and when he retired, so we did the whole bop around the country kind of thing.
Luke Air Force Base father, Shadow Mountain High School, Phoenix, Arizona.
And
one
I grew
of
up
our
in
own.
1972. We moved there. I was 7 or 8. I grew up there. I went to JUCO for a year up in Yavapai and Prescott.
You went to
Prescott?
Prescott?
One of the greatest years of my life, and quite possibly in the district I might run in, which we're going to talk about later. I'm sure. But it was one of the greatest years of my life. Actually, the 10th of next month, I'm coming back because my coach from that year is being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
There, Coach Dangler, and the whole team is coming back.
It
was we all still are very close.
What happened after Prescott Junior College?
So I got drafted, and I went to the lovely Elmira, New York, as a rookie, making $750 a month before taxes, thinking I was loaded. Played in the minor leagues for 2 years, got traded. I was drafted by Boston originally. Got traded to the Orioles in '88 when they started. The year they started out 0-21. And got called up that September. I lost my father in January of that year. I got called up in September, and then I bounced up and down for '89, and then a little bit of '90, and I was up in the big leagues for good. And then I got traded that winter to Houston. Spent a year in Houston there,
and then you went to the Phillies.
And at the end of the '90s.
And you helped to take them all the way to the World Series.
We had a really good group of guys in '93, and played one of the most. It's still one of the most cherished Philadelphia teams ever. We had a parade. We lost, and we still had a parade.
Are you still a hero in Philadelphia?
I don't know. I'm always been very uncomfortable with that word, being the son of someone that served.
Yeah.
I like to think, an athlete, someone follows But heroes, I think, a real strong word.
That's a good distinction, and thanks for making, because heroes are different. But fans have their sports heroes, so I use the term in that way. So from the Phillies and that World Series run, and then what happened?
Well, then you
came home.
I did. There was a little speed bump. I got traded, actually, to the Cleveland Indians the day before I got traded to the Diamondbacks, and I got cold feet and turned it down. And Ed Wade and I had a few choice words for each other and a quick conversation, and Arizona wasn't originally on my list per the request of my wife.
Did you, because it was hot? Or?
There was a lot of reasons, but
Shonda didn't want to go.
No, and so I slipped them in under the radar and didn't tell her.
Ooh.
Yeah, which if you watch the press conference and you see me, I'm smiling like a Cheshire cat because I'm so excited. She's standing in the background looking like somebody just died.
I'm going to kill him when we get home.
Yep.
Did Jerry Colangelo call you? Who called you? Or Buck Showalter? Who called you?
No, Joe Garagiola Jr.
Joe Garagiola Jr.
Yep, and then I talked to Buck real quick because I flew down that Thursday night to Miami, met the team. Then RJ pitched Friday night.
Yeah.
I pitched Saturday, and then...
So after the press conference and after you signed and after it was all over, you had to go home to Shonda.
Yeah.
With her.
Yeah.
In the car.
Yeah, but I have a trump card, literally.
You do?
Yeah.
What is the trump card? I want it.
Getting traded to Arizona saved her life.
How?
She had malignant melanoma stage 3 and had it for 6 months.
And didn't know?
No, and had been seen and had seen specialists in Pennsylvania. And no one diagnosed her. No, everybody missed it.
What happened in Phoenix?
Dentist in Phoenix.
Dentist.
Who said, you need to leave my office immediately and go to a dermatologist because that's not good.
Where was it?
That day.
Where was it?
It was on her back. It was on her. I think it was on the back of her neck.
What was the dentist doing back there?
Well, he had seen it. He just in passing.
Oh, wow.
When everybody's so hypersensitive to it.
Sure.
Right? In Arizona. So
sure.
She did, and it was. And
so they got a hold of it.
They got it.
Took care of it.
Yep, and that started the Shade Foundation.
And the Shade Foundation,
Yep.
I remember that.
Yep.
And I know over the years you've also been incredibly involved with ALS. How did you get involved with ALS?
Met a patient.
You met a patient and it touched your heart.
1992, after my first really good season in the big leagues, Sean and I were looking for something to kind of get involved with. We didn't have kids. I was making a lot of money, and I wanted to try and, in a sense, honor my father's memory because he was such a good, caring, giving, loving man. And I met a woman named Ellen Phillips who ran the Philadelphia ALS chapter. She's lost her husband to it. Anyway, it's funny because it revolves around golf. I just picked up the game of golf.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that I met that day was talking about how he diagnosed himself on the golf course after 18 months of misdiagnosis.
With ALS.
Yeah.
He knew.
He knew that because he said I was gripping my club and I could no longer hold it in my right hand when I swung.
Wow.
He said, and I'd been obviously, and it was at the time, that was the 18 to 24 month window was the window it took for them to get it right.
Really?
And, that's obviously narrowed down, as have all the neurological illnesses, which I firmly believe that once they find one, they'll fix it. They'll find them all because I think they're all connected.
They'll cure everything.
Yeah.
So you got involved with ALS and you have Curt's pitch.
Yep.
You still do it?
No, I do not. We had a golf tournament. We started a golf tournament. We had a golf tournament for I want to say about almost 20 years. Raised north of $10 million. And
wow.
It was phenomenal.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Being able to, tee it up and look down at your square toes and see exactly where you're lined up. It's not only great on the range, but really nice on the course. Being able to have an extra tool is great on the tee box. With this square-toed front, not only is it great for my alignment, but I just have a lot of room, and I just feel really comfortable. Think of these shoes more as equipment as opposed to apparel.
Do you like Tour Edge?
I love Tour Edge.
This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA?
Oh, I love that.
I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long? Really long.
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Here's a great golf solution called Grip Drive. It's simple and easy to use, saving you money and keeping your grips in great condition. For chip shots into the green, snap it on your putter to keep that grip dry. Grip Drive fits in the back pocket for easy access. Use our powerful magnet to snap onto your golf cart so it's easy to take to the green. Grip Drive provides a convenient ball marker that is always with you. When your grips are dry and in great shape, you'll simply play better.
The Sights and Sounds of Golf, brought to you by Mother Nature and the members of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America.
Mother Nature provides the canvas. we help to make it a work of art. Brought to you by the members of the Golf Course Superintendents Association of America.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
All right, so back to Colangelo and Showalter and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you win a World Series. And by the way, folks, he was 35 years old, I believe.
2001, yeah.
He was 35 years old when the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you shared, what, MVP?
Yep, co-MVP with RJ.
With
The big guy.
With Randy. And then you were there again. You left and went to the Boston Red Sox. Now, there's a whole story there.
Oh, yeah.
And there were people that were not happy.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
So, it's a long ways back, but if you remember in the winter, I was hurt in 2003. RJ was hurt most of the year, and I had a appendicitis. I pitched a complete game against the Colorado Rockies. Not to mention the only game in my career I ever got 3 hits.
Yeah.
So I was on the bases 3 times. I threw a complete game, and then when we landed in St. Louis that night, I went to the hospital. I had appendicitis.
Yeah.
And it was bothering me all day. But anyway, then I broke my hand that year, so I was in and out of pitching. We had a bad year. And Gonzo, contract was up, and Joe came to me and said, you know, we have to re-sign Lewis, and payroll-wise, this is going to be a problem for us. So they wanted to trade my contract, and it was very amicable. And
so they did it.
They said that, yeah.
And you went to Boston.
I was at an event at my house, and so I had a total no trade. We were doing a charity Shade Foundation event. Mr. Colangelo and Mr. Garagiola were at the house. And Joe said something, I said something to him. I said, hey, Joe, you know, because I heard Terry Francona was interviewing for the Red Sox. And I said to Joe, I said, hey, you know what? I might listen to the Red Sox. He came back. He went over. He ran straight from me to Mr. Colangelo. He came back. He said, we already have a deal in place with Boston.
Wow.
So for this was Theo, forward-thinking Theo all the way. So the next morning, the Red Sox showed up. And we spent a couple days negotiating and went there.
Was Shonda happy with that one?
Shonda wanted to go to New York.
She wanted. Oh.
Yep.
But you're not a Yankees fan.
Well, I wasn't either at the time. And the thing about it was, it came down to two things. I could have gone to New York, who actually I was on the phone with during the negotiations with Boston, much to the chagrin of the Major League Baseball Rules Committee. But I could have gone to New York and helped them win 27, 28, and 29. Which would have been cool, or I could go to Boston and do something that's never been done before.
So you went to Boston, and you did do something that hadn't been done before. The curse was lifted. How did that happen?
You don't have enough time for that.
No,
story.
we don't.
Yeah,
but
it was just.
But it was just a phenomenal team. Was it everything fell into place?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it
all
a God
of the
thing?
things happened. There was absolutely divine involvement, especially for me.
But we all know you're a man of faith,
yes,
you and
man.
Shonda.
Yes.
And the 4 kids. I have 4 kids, all start with the letter C. Yours all start with the letter G. But, okay, so you win the World Series in 2004. My gosh. And
the largest sports parade, I think, ever, 3+ million.
Just unbelievable. Blew the roof off of that one. You continue to pitch. You continue to stay. And then you win it again. So it wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't a one-hit wonder, one-pitch wonder. You win it again in 2007. But let's go back to 4, because during your pitching against the New York Yankees, you had a problem with your ankle. They did a surgery. It bled out. And you knew that the cameras were going to be on your foot, and you put KALS for strikeout ALS on that sock. And today that sock, I understand, is in Cooperstown.
The shoe is
the
front
shoe
and center, yes.
In Cooperstown.
Yes, which is awesome.
The bloody sock. Did you feel that injury during your pitch? What was it like?
Like I said, there was a lot of divine intervention involvement at that point.
Did you pop Tylenol?
At that point in my career, Tylenol were kind of like chiclets. So
Chiclets.
yeah, and the sports world, unfortunately, is very much like the movie North Dallas 40. They'll give you whatever you need, whenever you need it, to make sure you're on the field.
I got it.
And none of it illegal, but
Right.
they don't care about your future addiction potential.
You need to perform right now.
They just give it to you, and I willingly took it, and I
Right.
was getting, but I blew it out in the Anaheim game.
Yeah.
The last pitch of the Anaheim game, my tendon had snapped because I'd been dealing with this in spring training. People didn't know it started in spring training. I was getting shot up all through the year in the ankle, and it had deteriorated to the point where the ligament holding the tendons in snapped off the bone.
Now, you said in an interview that I read that you were making millions of dollars, traveling all over the world.
Right.
Unbelievable wife, beautiful,
Let me
dedicated,
put it this way.
devoted.
At 18, if you could have written out your dream life, if I could have written out my
You couldn't
dream
have
life,
thought of it.
it would have been 1/10 of what I actually got.
Right. So you said in this interview that I had all this going on, children, everything, unbelievable career, fans everywhere, all this. But the phone calls when you were on the road with Shonda turned into a terrible situation because of what was going on at home with Grant,
Yeah.
your son.
Right.
It started at about age 3,
Yep.
and it went on until somebody somewhere figured out what was going on. Give me a couple minutes on Grant.
So I'll never forget the conversation.
He's now 20 years old, by the way.
Right. It was Chicago, and my wife traveled, and the family traveled every now and then together, because I got to see my family more on the road than at home, right? Because at home, I left for the park at noon. They were at school. I'd get home at 2 in the morning. They were in bed and do the cycle. Anyway, we're sitting on the bed, and she's prepping me for news, and she's like, Grant has autism. My first response was okay, and she was kind of, I think, taken aback a little.
Okay.
I was like, okay, what do we do?
Ah.
If that's the case, we can't go back and change anything. What do we do?
This was when he was what age?
Everything sank in. This was right around the end of my 04, 05, 06,
So he's baby. He's
right,
5, 6 years old.
right. And so everything fell into place immediately for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, not then. Once I researched
Were
what
you
it was.
in denial at all?
No.
Was she?
No.
Okay.
She knew. She was there every day. But it was like literally dropping a puzzle and having it all fall together as it hits the ground. Like I was like, okay, that makes total sense.
And the autism that he ended up being diagnosed with
Was Asperger's.
was Asperger's syndrome.
There-
How is that
Okay,
different?
but let me just tell you, as a father, there was an enormous amount of guilt in my.
I read that.
Oh my gosh, because I grew up.
You felt it was a discipline
I had an
problem.
amazing father.
Yeah.
And I can remember being spanked 3 times, and I can remember all three better than I can remember the World Series. But, and I never physically hit my kids, so I would get louder, and we were exactly alike, and we would butt heads, and he would do things that just didn't make sense.
Ah.
And he was.
Did you think he was just being obstinate?
Yeah, and he was topically brilliant. For example, we went to SeaWorld, and at the time, he wanted to be a marine biologist. He's like 7 years old. We're getting a tour guide, and he's correcting every time she makes a mistake.
Really?
Yeah, the beluga whale doesn't actually live there. It lives here, and it migrates here, and it does.
So he was basically almost like a savant.
He was. He absolutely was. And I'll fast forward to the coolest story ever. But so there was time. It made life 100 times easier from that day on.
Can you speak into the camera again one more time and talk to folks that have children with autism, Asperger's, that are maybe at that beginning
Well,
stage?
here's the problem.
Talk
a
about
lot
it.
of parents will be in denial. I've met parents who have kids that are openly autistic, and the parents are in complete denial.
Why?
Because they feel like it's their fault. They
Is it
did
a
something.
stigma or
Yeah,
something?
no, they did something.
You can't do anything?
No, you can't, because there's all those conversations about vaccines and autism, and I have no idea where the science goes on. I don't care about that stuff. What I care about is that a lot of parents are in denial, and they just think they have a bad kid. It gives new meaning to being in the grocery store when you see that kid and you go, now, can't you just take care of your kid?
Yeah.
Right. There's a story behind every one of those.
There's a reason for everything, and we don't know it.
Right. And so let me just this is the greatest story ever. So he's a senior in high school, and he's into Japanese anime. He actually started the LGBTQ club in his high school.
Really?
So he was very sympathetic to that community, and he claims to be part of that community, which I don't care, and it doesn't matter.
Nice, great.
So we had kids that were transitioning in our house, and we still do all the time.
Yeah.
Some of the nicest kids you ever want to meet. His senior year, I find out that he has a YouTube channel with 54,000 followers.
You didn't even know. So he's posting content
No,
on YouTube.
I go to YouTube. He has made a movie, an anime movie from start to finish, production, casting, voice acting, everything to post-production, and published it.
That's fabulous.
LaSalle College reaches out to him.
What's
and
the
says,
name of it?
I don't remember their name.
Can we find it on there
You
still?
can find it, yes.
Grant Schilling.
Grant Schilling. And LaSalle College called out and said, hey, we want you to come here.
Go to school.
We want the self-starter.
So
and
he
that's
did.
what he's going to do. He wants to work for Walt Disney, and he wants to make movies to help kids that are struggling with their identity when they're 10, 11, 12, and 13.
That's great.
Which is awesome. And he's got
That's fabulous.
autism. Kids with autism have hearts far bigger than normal human
So
beings.
at 20 years old today, does he still?
He's at college.
He's in college. He's working, and does he still? Has he been given training and help to
No.
be able to function?
Yes, he went to a Maine teen camp. Or, I'm sorry, not Maine teen camp, but there was a camp in Medfield. Scott McLeod was a gentleman that ran it, and it was for kids that were from like Grant, who's highly functioning, to Dustin Hoffman and Rain Man.
Okay.
That whole spectrum.
Okay.
And it's volunteered by all these college kids, which is one of the most. That they took them to Boston, and had them order a meal. They took them to learn how to get on the T and ride the train to Boston. They taught them how to live. Boston College has a dorm that is filled with all kids with Asperger's and autism. Everybody's aware. And we even actually had a tremendous incident in the sense nobody got hurt. Grant got in a car accident. He was rear-ended by a semi.
Oh my.
The police officers that showed up had been trained in dealing with kids with autism.
Really?
Grant reached out to us.
That's another miracle.
Twice during the event about how calm, because he was freaking out. And a lot of times, it's actually led to the death of some kids with autism when they confront police. They don't know how to act. And they'll panic, and the police will see that as aggression. And it's been a nightmare experience.
No.
Yeah. And so Grant talked to he sent pictures, and the officers were both phenomenal. So we wrote letters to the police department saying, I can't begin to describe to you, because it changed Grant's life forever when it comes to police officers. And in this day and age, Grant is socially liberal. And in this day and age, he understands, he's smart enough to know he's being fed a lot of bull. But his relationship with those police officers will change him forever. So when people talk about law enforcement officers with Grant, it's not Black Lives Matter or abuse of minorities. These are really good people.
We'll be back with more Match Play right after these messages.
Do you like Tour Edge?
I love Tour Edge. This is seriously high tech.
And they're long, right, Duff?
Built in the USA? Oh, I love that. I need forgiveness.
Did I mention these puppies are long, really long?
You know why I love Tour Edge? It's because I win with it. Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
Introducing the Putting Stroke Teacher Training Aid.
The putting stroke teacher helps the better player, the PGA Tour player, the pro that wants to get out on tour, because the first thing it's going to do is get these forearms lined up square and your shoulders lined up square. And that's the thing my dad and I worked on when I led the tour in putting, and it's the thing I'm constantly checking today to make sure that those are lined up. And that's going to really affect the path that the putter head swings on. Very easy to set up. You just take two pieces, stick them together, put it on the end of your putter, two little Velcro straps, and boom, you're in and you're ready to go. It's not big, it's very tiny. You can take it apart and stick it in your golf bag. Get the Putting Stroke Teacher and make more putts.
Order the Putting Stroke Teacher today.
Being able to tee it up and look down at your square toes and see exactly where you're lined up. It's not only great on the range, but really nice on the course. Being able to have an extra tool is great on the tee box. With this square-toed front, not only is it great for my alignment, but I just have a lot of room and I just feel really comfortable. Think of these shoes more as equipment as opposed to apparel.
And now back to Match Play with your host, Ray Adams.
You've been at it with owners, you've been at it with the teams, you've been at it with teammates, you've called some of them out, and then ESPN got a hold of you, and you all got in a headlock together, and you were on and off. So what do you say to the naysayers, to the people that shame you, that have beat on you in the public, in the media, in the press, and the writers, and the... What do you say to all of that? Does your faith work you through that, or are you a fighter? Are you a fighter?
You talked about it. I am morally, ethically the same person I was 35 years ago.
Yeah.
That's why I sleep good at night.
Should you be in the Hall of Fame?
You know what? If I had the Hall of Fame and I made the criteria, I wouldn't be.
Because?
Because I think if you ask somebody, is so-and-so, I'll ask you, is Mariano Rivera a Hall of Famer? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is Randy Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Mike Mussina? The second you have to think about it,
I don't
no,
know.
that's a no.
So if there's a hesitation, it doesn't matter your wars, it doesn't matter your jaws.
Nope.
They say that you're second place behind the Rocket Clemens of players in the 2000s,
right.
With your scores.
We know why.
Is it
media,
because you're an outspoken conservative?
We don't have to get it. They've said it.
They've said that you're not going to the Hall because of that?
They've said they haven't voted for me because I'm a racist and a bigot.
You are?
Oh, sure.
Are you a racist and a bigot?
There's not 1 ounce, not one quote, not one act ever in my lifetime to support either one of those claims. And I always say to people who say that, I said, present the quote that makes me a racist. First of all. Secondly, we're in a one-event world. Your entire life, the left can define you by one event.
Even 30, 40 years
Doesn't matter
ago.
when you did it.
Okay.
Right? And that is, I'm 52, going on 53. I've lived an incredible life. I've played with thousands of people of all races and ethnicities and sexual orientation. If I was a racist, I think it probably would have come out before now.
All right, Curt Schilling on Match Play today. He's controversial. We know the talent. He has thrilled us from the mound, and with those teams, 3 World Series, MVP, on and on as a Major League Baseball player, but also as a person of faith, one that gives back tremendous amount with his wife Shonda to charity. He's here today with Scott and Renee Bayo for the Bailey Bayo Angel Foundation Tournament. Curt Schilling on Match Play today.
God bless you, brother. It's always
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
God bless you.
There is a place where reality exceeds your dreams, where time is not measured in days, hours, or minutes, but in smiles, new experiences, and new friends. A place where happiness is not a feeling, it's a way of life. Here, you're not just a visitor, you're family. There are many languages in the world, and our smile speaks them all.